Welcome back to Factual America, the channel where truth is more than just a slogan. It's a mission. Today's topic may sound absurd, almost like the plot of a dystopian satire, but it's actually a chilling reality for some. Can you be raided by authorities just for liking a meme on social media? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you might look at your newsfeed and the memes you share in a whole new light. Let's set the stage. Imagine scrolling through your favorite platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just looking for a laugh. You see a meme that's tongue-in-cheek, maybe a little edgy, and you hit that like or share button. For years, the worst that could happen was maybe an argument in the comment section. But according to recently surfaced stories and a handful of high-profile raids, that moment of digital interaction can now have consequences far more serious than anyone could have predicted. How did we get here? To understand, we need to look at the global creep of expanding government authority when it comes to policing the internet. In countries like the United Kingdom, authorities have increasingly used hate speech laws and misinformation crackdowns as reasons to monitor citizens' online behavior. For example, in 2019, British police knocked on a man's door to question him about liking a post deemed offensive. He hadn't written the post. He hadn't shared it. He merely pressed the like button. Suddenly, that innocuous digital gesture became a legal issue. Is that just a European phenomenon? Or could it happen in America, the home of the First Amendment and the supposed land of free expression? Sadly, while the US has stronger constitutional protections, the warning signs are flashing here too. In recent years, government agencies have increased their monitoring of social media accounts for so-called extremist content. And it doesn't stop at original posts. Likes, shares, and comments are all being scrutinized under the lens of algorithms and digital surveillance. Now, you might be thinking, surely that only applies to actual criminals or those who actively promote illegal activities online. Well, the definition of what's considered harmful or extremist has grown fuzzier than ever. Take the story of Memegate, a not-so-funny tale from 2020. Several young people in various states found themselves targeted by local and federal authorities simply for being part of private meme groups. No concrete evidence of wrongdoing was cited, just an algorithm flagging their online associations and interactions. So, what's the legal justification for this kind of digital dragnet? The powers that be often cite broad catch-all terms like public safety and national security. After the events of January 6th, for example, federal agencies claimed expanded necessity to comb through social media, tracking not just posts, but every like and reaction. In some high-profile cases, warrants for raids were issued based on internet activity, sometimes with nothing more to go on than a shared meme or a like on a controversial post. But it doesn't always stop at your own home or device. In one of the eeriest developments, law enforcement in several jurisdictions have requested that social media companies provide data not only on people who create certain posts, but on everyone who so much as interacts with them. That's right, your digital footprint, down to a single emoji reaction, can become part of a criminal investigation file. Here's the twist that'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew about internet privacy. Even deleting your reaction or unliking a meme might not protect you. Once it's logged in the platform's records, authorities with a subpoena can still access it. Data never truly vanishes, and it can be pulled up retroactively to build a case, or at least justify a search. What's especially alarming is the role that major tech companies play in this process. The so-called trusted flagger programs have created backdoor channels through which law enforcement can request private user information, frequently without a court order. Documents uncovered by investigative journalists show that sometimes vague and non-specific requests are rubber-stamped, and the data of hundreds or thousands of users who simply liked or interacted with a post are handed over wholesale. Let's pause right here for a second, because you might be thinking, hey, I don't post anything extreme online, so I'm in the clear. But the problem is, who defines extreme? The boundaries are constantly shifting. Satirical memes that mocked the establishment 5 years ago might get you flagged today. And with artificial intelligence now used for context analysis, Even mere association with a flagged meme can put you in the crosshairs. Allow me to share a real-life example that's both unsettling and thought-provoking. In 2022, a college student in Texas was woken up by a 6 a.m. raid after liking several politically charged memes in a private group chat. The memes, while irreverent, were clearly jokes to the group members, but algorithms saw only keywords and pattern matches. The student wasn't charged with any crime, but suffered irreparable damage to their academic and social life, all for a few casual clicks. So, you might be wondering, how much power does the federal government actually have to police online speech in America? Well, under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, tech companies have enormous leeway in moderating content, but they're also partnering increasingly closely with government agencies. Meanwhile, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security often justify their digital surveillance under broad anti-terrorism statutes. The interplay between tech companies and government has led to what some legal scholars call the outsourcing of censorship. Instead of the state directly banning content or surveilling users, private companies are pressured to enforce often ambiguous terms of service and to report users whose behavior crosses ever-shifting red lines. This creeping alliance means that ordinary citizens have far fewer protections than they might imagine, even in the world's oldest democracy. Let's not overlook the psychological effect this has already had. Self-censorship is at an all-time high, not just in oppressive regimes, but in the Western world too. Knowing that a like or share can lead to algorithmic scrutiny, or worse, real-world consequences, many people have begun second-guessing their every online interaction. The chilling effect on free speech isn't some theoretical debate anymore. It's a lived reality for millions. At this point, some might ask, is there any way to protect yourself? There are tools like encrypted messaging, the use of VPNs, and even so-called burner accounts. But the fact remains, if you're using major social platforms, most of your data, likes, comments, shares, even deleted posts, can be retroactively analyzed and handed over to law enforcement with minimal oversight. It gets even more complicated when you consider that what's legal or tolerated in one jurisdiction can be grounds for investigation in another. Think about it. Posting a meme that's perfectly acceptable in the USA might trigger legal troubles in Canada, Europe, or Australia, which have much stricter hate speech and online safety laws. International data sharing agreements mean your online activity isn't just monitored locally, but can be exported to foreign governments as well. There's also the problem of automation and scale. Social media companies have turned to artificial intelligence to scan literally billions of daily interactions. Not only do these systems lack nuance and context, but when an algorithm finds something questionable, it can instantly add your account to an internal watch list, sometimes with devastating results for careers, families, and reputations, all before a human ever looks at the content. Combine that with the push for pre-crime predictive policing, and we edge closer to the kind of world envisioned by science fiction writers. A scenario in which your online humor, sarcasm, or even your silence in the face of controversial memes could be interpreted as a sign of risk and make you the subject of investigation. Now, let's talk about whistleblowers and analysts inside tech companies. Several insiders have spoken to journalists, admitting real concern that these systems often sweep up huge numbers of innocent users whose only crime is liking or laughing at a meme that a nameless algorithm decided was risky. Once your name is in the file, there's rarely a way to clear it. No appeals court, no due process. Here's something truly chilling. Some law enforcement training materials now include idioms and meme formats as keywords of concern. That means that an ironic Pepe the Frog meme, or a spicy SpongeBob joke about the government, could be enough to get algorithms watching you more closely, or even to trigger a knock at your door. All of this leads us to the heart of the matter. What does it really mean for our rights, our culture, and our future, if we can be investigated or even rated over a meme? At what point does the supposed fight against hate speech, extremism, or misinformation turn into a war on dissent and humor itself? These are hard questions, but there's one thing for certain. The slippery slope is real, and it is steep. Some defenders of the current regime insist that increased surveillance is necessary to keep the public safe. But history is littered with the impulses of government overreach. And once the tools are in place, the line between necessary security and political persecution tends to blur dangerously quickly. Satire and dissent have always been part of a healthy polity. Silencing them in the name of safety is a road that rarely ends well. So what can be done? On the legal front, activists are pushing for new digital privacy laws and clearer protections for online speech. Some lawmakers, on both sides of the aisle, have proposed legislation to rein in both big tech's power and the reach of government surveillance. Grassroots campaigns urge users to demand transparency about how and why their data is provided to law enforcement. But the most important battlefield might be cultural. If people are too afraid to share a laugh or a criticism online, we lose what made the internet special in the first place: a digital public square for robust debate, dissent, and yes, even dark humor. Without pushback from regular citizens, the surveillance state wins by default. Before we wrap up, let's flip the script for a moment. Think of the absurdity. Entire police resources devoted to tracking down people who liked a satirical image. Imagine if our founding fathers could see that the greatest tool for resistance, the meme, could become grounds for a government raid in the so-called land of the free. So, here's the question I want to leave you with. Is this the price we have to pay for safety, or is it the start of a slippery slope toward digital dystopia? Do you think authorities are overstepping, or is there a real threat that justifies these tactics? Have you personally felt the chill of self-censorship online? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What's your take, and what topics would you like Factual America to cover in future videos? Remember, the conversation is only as strong as the people brave enough to speak up. If you value free speech, digital privacy, and honest debate, make sure to subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and keep fighting for truth, on and offline. See you next time on Factual America.